1996, the year of the rookie. 21-year-old Craig Lowndes arrived on the V8 supercar scene with all the subtlety of a sledgehammer, demolishing the opposition with a crushing combination of fine equipment, youthful exuberance and lightning speed. 1997, the dawn of a new decade in Shell Australian Touring Car Championship history. The thundering 600 horsepower V8 supercars are back, but minus our reigning champ. This year, Lowndes is Euro-bound, chasing his dream of Formula One fame. But his Holden Racing Team legacy lives on. In 1997, Bathurst-winning teammate Greg Murphy takes over the country's #1 V8 seat. The battle for supremacy between supercar rivals Ford and Holden is set to explode. Ford's new EL Falcon against the General's latest VS Commodore. Young guns like Murphy, Ellery, Richards and Romano, hungry to follow Lowndes' tyre tracks all the way to tin-top stardom against superstars like Johnson, Brock, Perkins and Bow. The wait is over. The V8 supercars are ready to rumble for the opening round of the 1997 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. To Calder Park Raceway under lights.
Race one not too far away. The cars heading off on their warm-up lap right now. But before we get to the start, let's have a look at the Calder Park circuit.
Well, there you go. It's one big long straight. It's running a clockwise direction, and really it's not that tricky. You've got a very fast straight, sort of 270 odd k's into a tight right-hander. Watch for the first corner on the first lap, because it's very wide straight into a little bottleneck. A right and a left, another right and a left, and really another right and a left. The most important corner of all is the right-hander, the last right-hander you see onto the straight, because a good entrance into that, and more especially a good exit, gives you a good straight line speed. There's the grid positions. Pole position, Greg Murphy from Wayne Gardner. Second row of the grid, Mark Scaife and Glenn Seaton. Third row of the grid, Peter Brock from Alan Jones. Fourth row, Tony Longhurst, Mark Larkham. Fifth row of the grid, Stephen Richards from Russell Ingall. Sixth row, John Faulkner from Larry Perkins. Seventh row, John Bow from Dick Johnson. They won't like that. Row 8, Mark Paul from Steve Reed. Row 9, Steve Ellery from Chris Schmurden. Row 10, John Trimble from Kevin Hefferman. Row 11, Terry Finnegan from Darren Hossack. Row 12, Sean Walker and Malcolm Stenican. Row 13, unlucky for some, Danny Osborne and Ian Palmer. And the last row, Wayne Russell and Paul Romano. I wouldn't like to be stuck up the back of that lot.
It'd certainly be tough going. Well, a couple of big things coming out of that Shell Helix grid, Barry. One is that Greg Murphy, in his debut Shell Australian Touring Car drive on pole, and the other big thing is that John Bow and Dick Johnson back in 13th and 14th. Well,
exactly that. You know, it's amazing how things can turn around. They were talking last week in Albert Park how good the Dunlops were, and really when you see them right down the pan there, I would say that the tyre today would be the Yokohama. You look there, there's Wayne Gardner's on Yokohamas.
Well, let's take this opportunity to go down trackside. Here's Mark Osler.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, Barry. I've just been talking to the Dunlop and Bridgestone tyre engineers. The track temperature down here is about 26 degrees. They reckon that's way too cool. They've probably gone a bit too hard on their compound. So watch these guys on Bridgestone, Seaton, Brock and Murphy. They'll just be taking it pretty easy in these opening 2 or 3 laps to try and get the tyres up to temperature. Should be fascinating. Yeah,
I was talking to a lot of the Bridgestone runners, and they were saying that it takes unbelievably sort of 4 or 5 laps to get the front tyres to come in. When I say come in, to get up to temperature. So keep your eyes open. It should be quite a lot of fun for the first 2 or 3 laps.
Well, it certainly is a very colourful grid for the opening round of the 1997 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. There's AJ, Alan Jones, sitting on the grid in his Komatsu Falcon. We are set for a start. Watch the lights. Change from red to green. We are away, and the 1997 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship is underway. It's Gardner. Wayne Gardner gets away to a terrific start. So too did Glenn Seaton.
Yes, Seaton down the outside. Now look at this. Oh, I'd say it's going to be Seaton.
Seaton has got a tremendous run on the outside. Murphy's got the inside run into this tight hairpin, or this tight right-hander.
Oh, look at this lot. Look up the back. Oh, boy, that's Mark Larkham got off there. And
one of the Shell Helix cars, by the looks of it, too. That looked like Dick Johnson caught up in that.
I think it's Johnny Bow, I'm not sure. But, that's it. It's so sad, you know. Everybody, no, DJ, you're right. It's... You would think everybody would say, we've got to take it easy on the first corner, but the old adrenaline rush gets the best of you, and Greg Murphy looks like he's got the bit between his teeth.
So it's Greg Murphy has already pulled out a couple of car lengths over the Coca-Cola Commodore of Wayne Gardner. Let's have a look at the Shell Helix replay of that first corner incident. There's Johnson spinning, top right-hand corner of your screen. It looked like Mark Larkham, Stevie Richards, and there goes Chris Smurden just avoiding contact. around the outside.
Poor old Mark Larkin doesn't get a lot of luck, does he?
No chance at all. Greg Murphy has got quite a good gap over Gardner at the moment. Then we go back to the Ford Credit Falcon of Glenn Seaton. Mark Scaife back in fourth as Gardner smokes it up. And we have a great look here at the young gun, Greg Murphy, filling some very big shoes of Craig Lowndes from last year. And if you can follow his track record so far, it's pretty impressive.
Oh, incredible. I was talking to him earlier on, and he was saying that, you know, I've got a hard act to follow, but when you look at how he did in the latter part of last season and so far this year, he hasn't done too bad, has he, really?
Finishing third in last year's Super Touring Championship. Now running in the V8 supercar category. Greg Murphy, the young guy from Hastings in New Zealand, now resides in Melbourne.
Gardner locking up the inside right there. It'd be nice for Gardner to get a good result, because he copped a lot of shrapnel last week after Albert Park, and it's really unfair because it was not his fault, and he really got the blame for it, and it's not nice.
Gardner's overdue for some good luck. Let's have another look at the first corner incident.
Oh,
inside Dick Johnson's car, the Shell Helix in-car camera.
Maybe a little bit of a tap up the backside.
Turned him round, and gee, he was very, very lucky there, Barry, to avoid contact.
Exactly that. You know, it's hard to tell what goes on there because it was so close, but you'd have to say that someone gave him a little nudge, wouldn't you?
Well, at the moment, Greg Murphy is running away from it. That's third place. Glenn Seaton in the Ford Credit Falcon at the moment. The first of 3 races here at the Calder Park Raceway.
If you were, Mark was saying that that the tyre boys were worried, and the Bridgestone and Yokohama guys were worried, well, because of getting the tyres up to temperature. Then even more so with the Dunlops, because oh, that's Steve Ellery down there. Oh, a little bit of action.
Well, while Stephen Ellery's sitting there, we've got a man on the spot. Here's Mark Osler.
Yeah, thanks, Lee. It's a bit of damage to the front here, Steve. You got a moment to talk? No, it looks like he's too busy in there. They should be out of here fairly quickly, hopefully, but there's a lot of damage. That's a one-piece spoiler section. They're getting out the magic tape to try and strap it onto the front of the car, but it just shows there's a little tap in traffic, and you can do some major damage to the aerodynamics of these big V8 supercars.
What you mean, Mark? It was a one-piece spoiler.
Yeah, not much left of it now. Stephen Ellery.
That wasn't the start that Steve Ellery was looking for. He's had some bad luck already this weekend. He blew a head gasket in free practice a couple of days ago, so luck not going his way.
Oh, and AJ making up a little bit of ground now.
So at the moment, it's Greg Murphy who leads the way from Wayne Gardner. There's the gap first to second. There's third in Glenn Seaton. Fourth is Mark Scaife, and Alan Jones back in 5th position at the moment. But it's the mobile HRT Commodore of Greg Murphy who leads the way. Quite a commanding lead there as well. That shot illustrated it well.
Yeah, he has, but looking at the last lap, Gardner was fractionally quicker than Murphy. So this is on board with Glenn Seaton. Now, just have a look. If you reckon it ain't hard driving one of these things, just get a load of this. See, it's a fight all the way. Now watch down into this. Bang, bang, that's more or less flat out. Now down into this is the most important corner on the circuit. When you come through this section, rather, you go right and then left, round this, and then you go into this right-hander. Now you just listen the way it listen. Just feather. Now from here, you know, prior to just getting the power on, it's so vitally important, because if you come out of there sort of 5k slow, you end up at the end of the straight, you know, to kind of 10 or 12 k's down there. You have a listen when he gets on the brakes. See the locking up a wheel there.
Great pictures from the Ford Credit Falcon of Glenn Seaton, and Barry, it appears as though he's starting to bridge that gap between himself and Gardner.
Well, he is. He was saying that, you know, he was so surprised how the tyres took a lot longer to heat up than ever before. And don't forget, Gardner's on Yokohamas and Seaton's on Bridgestone, so they're you know, obviously a bit very different. And now you're just seeing the Bridgestone come into its own. Mind you, having said that, Murphy's on Bridgestones and he's done a runner.
Gardner with equally his best qualifying position in his own race team under Wayne Gardner Racing. He qualified second, I think it was back in '94, and today qualifying second for this first of 3 races. Let's go down to the pits. Here's Mark Osler.
Yeah, Lee, just here with Kevin and Heaven in the flight attack Commodore. He's just fired it up. Ducky with the engine going again. Only a quick stop top, but a bit of a disappointment for the privateer.
Doing it hard is Kevin Heffernan, so that's not going to help his chances any. Coming out with a lot of work to do in the Price Attack Commodore.
Good looking car though.
It's a beautiful looking car.
I bet the paint guys that did that wouldn't like to have to do it again overnight, would they?
Given strict instructions not to bend it. Here's your race leader, car 15, the Mobile Commodore of Greg Murphy. His debut Shell Australian Touring Car drive, and he's doing it very well at the moment. He's got quite a handy little buffer back to Wayne Gardner, who still sits in second position.
Yeah, top six at the moment. He's Murphy from Gardner, Seaton, Scaife, Jones, Brock. Or top six, Ingle, Perkins, Longhurst and John Bow back in 10th.
It's good to see John Bow working his way up into the top 10. We've got a good battle on. Look towards the top of your screen there, Mark Scaife and Alan Jones. Here goes Jones having a look up the inside. He's a little too far back at the minute, though. Scaife in the Coopers and Librand Commodore. Locks it up there.
That's a good little mix. Whoa, go for it, AJ. Good little mix there because as far as AJ is concerned, he's definitely not... wasn't at the back of the queue when they handed out Bravery, and as far as Mark Scaife is concerned, he's not too worried about having a little nudge here and there, so it should be quite a laugh to see him get together.
Great to see AJ with some sponsorship on that car with the Komatsu signage on it, because not so long ago he was doing it tough for some sponsorship.
That's true. It'd be interesting to see down the straight, actually, between Scaife's car and AJ's, because although Scaife was saying that his car isn't quick, and we shall see now. Watch this.
Runs a little bit wide there.
Yeah, just be interesting. Well, it's not that slowly, is it?
He was saying that he thought he was about 3 or 4 kilometres slower than everybody else, but he's held his own there against Allen, didn't he?
Well, they came out much of a muchness acceleration-wise out of the right-hander, and it didn't look as if AJ had sort of anything on top speed.
Order still remains the same. It's Greg Murphy, Wayne Gardner, Glenn Seaton, and here's the battle for 4th and 5th. It's a beauty. Mark Scaife is holding on. He's forcing off the challenge from Alan Jones in the Komatsu Falcon, sitting back in 5th position at the moment, really hassling Scaife big time.
I tell you, it makes my day when you see AJ when he's got the needle. You know, when AJ really gets the eyes on, and he can certainly put it together, there's no doubt whatsoever. And you see at the end of last season at Bathurst, and look at him having a little go now. He's definitely a good runner, AJ.
This could be the one if Alan Jones can...
Now, but look at that. You see Scaife's thing, that ain't slow. You look at Scaife's thing's pulling away down the straight.
Got a very good exit out of that bottom corner. Here goes Alan Jones, as he's done in the past few laps. Has a look up the inside of Scaife. And Scaife has been running a little wide in this one. He likes a wider line. AJ tucks it on the inside. Here's a go.
Oh,
Jones right up the back of Scaife. Fantastic stuff. This is the battle for 4th and 5th. It's Mark Scaife in the Coopers and Librand Commodore, the Komatsu Falcon of Alan Jones, all over the back of him.
Yeah, it's could get a bit nasty, I reckon, if AJ where the bottom corner, the bottom right-hander that you were just talking about, that looks like the place where AJ's going to go if he can do it. Now you watch coming out onto the straight again. It seems as if Mark's thing pulls away on the initial grunt out of it, and then maybe runs out of breath a little bit. Look at that. What's that? Sort of 3 or 4 metres. Now watch. See, Scaife's thing's definitely accelerating away there, and it gets to the midpoint, and it looks like AJ starts to make a bit of ground there, but then it seems to run out of breath there because they're not on the brakes yet. On the brakes now.
Alan Jones locks it up, looking for an inside option there on Mark Scaife. This is where they came close in the previous lap. Scaife's been doing very, very well to hold off the challenge from Alan Jones. Jones is really giving him a hard time.
You see, Seaton hasn't made any ground on Gardner. That was funny. Earlier on, he was saying that he was making ground, which he was, and now sort of the lap times. Lap time-wise, Gardner is lapping 3/10 a lap quicker than Seaton at the moment.
Having a look in that high shot, I just got a quick glimpse of one of the Castrol Commodores. It looked like Larry Perkins back in 7th position, so that's a good effort by Larry to come up.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how the Dunlops perform later on in the race. They have a hard compound tyre. It's not the best compound they've got. It's the only one at the moment. And Dunlops have done a great job over the winter. They're made in the UK, the Dunlops they're using this year. And it'll just be interesting with a harder compound. Maybe it will come into play. Normally, in a race where you've got 3 races in a day, the last race, the Dunlops will be in a pound seats because they're a hard compound. But here, it's going to be, go for it, AJ. It's going to be later in the evening, so the temperature will be down. So I think Dunlops might be having a bit of trouble.
Well, if you have a look back, only a few car lengths behind this battle, Peter Brock is now starting to come into the equation. Brocky is looming in the background. There is Perkins just coming over the hill into the Shell S's. So Larry not too far off the pace either. He started in 12th position. So that's a great effort to work his way up into 7th. Positions haven't changed. It's still Murphy, Gardner, Seaton, Scaife, Jones and Brock. Of course, this, as you've heard Barry Sheen allude to, this is Peter Brock's 200th touring car start.
Oh,
someone's gone wide.
Somebody got a bit wide there.
Ian Palmer, I think it was, in the number 20 machine. And Barry, an interesting point. Brocky started his career here at Calder Park 20 years ago. Or, sorry, 200 races ago in 1972. That's when his teammate Greg Murphy was born.
Oh, that's the sort of thing when you get an old boy like me. You think, oh, yeah, I love to hear that. That's really nice. But you got to hand it to Brocky. You know, there was a picture in the paper of Brocky in 72 and Brocky now, you know, and apart from the long barnet, the long hair and everything, I mean, facially, he's very little different.
There is the Ford Credit Falcon of Glenn Seaton, currently sitting in 3rd position. Hasn't been able to bridge the gap all that much between himself and Wayne Gardner. There is one of the back markers caught in the middle of those two. We watch Mark Scaife now in the Coopers and Lybrand Commodore. Has driven very well to hold off Alan Jones. Let's watch Peter Brock at work in the Mobile 05 Commodore.
Just have a little look behind, look in the side. That was interesting. It looked like he was looking for something. I don't know, didn't it?
Yeah.
Ooh, good on a break.
It's always good to watch Peter at work, though. It's always a very animated face, and he works very hard behind the wheel.
The brakes. Look how much he's caught up on AJ.
Up and over the hill they go. Whoa! It's Stevie Richards.
Oh, dear
Mark
me.
Poole as well. They have gone right off. That was Mark Poole and John Faulkner. Oh, no.
Dear me.
So Faulkner, Mark Poole and Stephen Richards all victims in that first corner. Time is running out. We only have 5 laps remaining in the opening race of 3. Alan Jones has got to make his move soon.
Stenican got right out of the way then. You know, there's nothing worse than somebody that's getting laps sticking in the way, and you've got to hand it to Stenican. He, you know, saw him in his mirrors and just got out of the way.
Well, that's something, as much as people say, oh, the back markers get in the way, it's pretty hard for them because they're watching their mirrors all the time.
The point is, you know, the track is only so big, you can't always get out of the way, but I have to say some people do sort of spend more time in the way than they do in the hunt.
Barry, I just got a quick glimpse on that previous shot. It looked like Steve Reed's car on the Lansvale Smash Repairs car on the side of the track, so not quite sure what the problem is there. Here is the Shell Helix race update for you. Murphy, Gardner, Seaton, Scaife and Jones. Still your top 5 runners. The placings haven't changed.
Oh, down the end. Oh, look at that. That could not be, could it? There was somebody off on the grass there. Let's see there. And I don't know whether it was my imagination. No, it's not.
Someone running wide.
No, it was just run wide. And about the time that he ran wide would have been the time that Greg Murphy was going past. But I've just seen him go past. It's not him.
Well, they come across the strike. We've got 4 laps left in this one as Mark Scaife goes around the outside of one of our younger competitors, Darren Hossack, the karting champion, stepping up into the V8 supercar category. We're on our way home. We watch Dick Johnson, courtesy of the Shell Helix in-car camera, hard at work. Johnson currently is sitting a little way back in 13th position.
Yeah, old DJ definitely won't be happy with that. Mind you, JB, John Bowers in 10th position.
They've done well. They started 13th and 14th, respectively. Bower and Johnson, so they've worked their way up.
I'm surprised that Longhurst is down in 9th position. I was talking to him earlier on. He said, "Look, I've got the best car I've had for ages," and it's, you know, he thought he was ready in with a good chance if he could get a good start.
Greg Murphy comes across the strike. He only has 3 more laps left to run, and in his debut Shell Australian Touring Car drive, he will get his first win, which is a pretty impressive effort. Paul Romano just circulating behind him there, and John Trimble, the Bottle Magic entry.
You'd have to say, judging by last year and this first race of the season, that the HRT lot do definitely have their act together, don't they? When you go around and have a look at it, every little thing, you know, they've every little thing is under control. You get the feeling you go in there as an air of confidence, you know, from all the mechanics, team manager, everybody, and not to say the least, you know, Brocky and Greg Murphy.
Well, both of the New Zealand races at the end of last year's season in Auckland and Wellington, Greg didn't win every race, but he won both rounds and was very successful. He was literally the new hero of New Zealand, just gained so much popularity from some tremendous driving over there. And he's continuing that good form. We watch Wayne Gardner in the Coca-Cola Commodore sitting in second position. That's where he started from, and that's where he, I would say, will remain, Barry, and he's done very well to maintain that position.
Well, he has. You know, one thing that Wayne wants to do, he's not going to get himself in any trouble this week, is he? Look, you know, as I said, I really feel sorry for him because he got that shrapnel that wasn't deserved. And, you know, to get a decent couple of results under your belt and people start forgetting about things like that, then.
They are on their way to receive the last lap board. Well, there's going to be two very delighted people in Greg Murphy and Wayne Gardner if things remain as is. Gardner deserves to get some good results as Greg Murphy comes over the strike down the main straight. He is now on his way home, stucking up the inside of Terry Finnegan there. Murphy is on his last lap.
He's still not sort of taking it really easy. He's got a good lead, but you saw it just locking up the right front there as the weight goes over onto the left-hand front. And he was spectacular to watch in qualifying. Did you see him in qualifying? He was, you know, when he did his hot lap, it really looked like a hot lap. You know, there was smoke coming off tyres left, right, and centre. He's
a very aggressive driver, very forceful driver, and.
But when aggressive, forceful, but really keeps the thing on the island the whole time, and that's the thing that looks spectacular about it.
Well, what a start to 1997 for Greg Murphy. He makes his way up towards the finish line, and in his debut run, well done, Greg Murphy. He takes out race one here at Calder Park. Truly great effort by the young Kiwi. A really good drive to take the win. Gardner will remain in second spot in the Coca-Cola Commodore. Coming across the line, the lights on. Glenn Seaton remains in third position. Mark Scaife has done well to hang on to fourth. And Alan Jones will come in for fifth. Cars making their way across the line. It was a fairly, well, I was just about to say, Baz, a fairly uneventful first race, but there were a few.
Well, there were a few right at the beginning. It's the thing that really is sad in a way that, you know, they're talking about having control tyres, etc., which means, for people that don't know, that everybody having the same tyres. And really, there you go, there's the top five for you is Greg Murphy, Wayne Gardner, Glenn Seaton, Mark Scaife and Alan Jones. You see there on the right-hand side of the respective numbers and the difference in the times. Peter Brock, Larry Perkins, Russell Ingold, Tony Longhurst and John Bow.
Once again, well done to young Greg Murphy. A terrific drive to get a win in his debut run in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this. Welcome back to Calder Park, race 2, not too far away for round 1 of the 97 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. As you can see, some time has elapsed. The drivers and crowd have had a dinner break. We are now under lights here at Calder Park, the fabulous Musco lighting. It's quite amazing how they've transformed this place from yesterday. Absolutely nothing. The lights have travelled down from Sydney here to Calder Park for tonight. Time now to check the Shell Helix grid. The top 12 positions for you. Greg Murphy and Wayne Gardner share the first row. Row 2, Glenn Seaton and Mark Scaife.
Row 3, Alan Jones and Peter Brock. Row 4, Larry Perkins and Russell Ingold.
The fifth row of the grid is Tony Longhurst and John Bow, Stevie Richards and Mark Larkham off row 6.
Got a bit. It does look impressive, doesn't it? Under the lights. Looks, it does look hot stuff.
Fantastic. There is Greg Murphy sitting on pole position. He won from pole position in his debut race in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship for 97. Wayne Gardner sitting right alongside him. We are set for a start. Only moments away. Keen to see the battle continue between Scaife and Jones in this one. Glenn Seaton sitting over on the far side on the other side of Scaife, right behind Murphy. Keep your eyes on Seaton if he gets a good start. There he is, number 30 in the Ford Credit Falcon. Under lights, totally different conditions for the drivers. Baz, this one should be a ripper.
Well, I guess you've got a good excuse if you hit someone up the backside. I couldn't see you, it was dark. They really have to be careful with the regulation of creeping on the start now.
Here we go. Doesn't that look fantastic? Watch the lights. They'll come up to red and go to green any second now. We're away. Race 2 of the opening round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship.
Yeah, it's Seaton, great start from him. He's on the right side of the road to nip up the inside of the first corner. Let's have a look.
Glenn Seaton got away beautifully on the inside, and he's there. Bit of a touch from Gardner. Gardner slots into second. Murphy's out wide. It looks like Peter Brock's jumped into that third position on the inside. Stevie Richards exactly the same as what he did as in race 1. Overshot the first turn.
God, he'll be angry with himself. Exactly the same. Can't believe it.
They work and wind their way around. Here they come over to the back part of the circuit. It is Seaton has got away to a fantastic start. Wayne Gardner slotted in behind him. You can see the field under lights with their lights on. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting now to watch the tyre situation because Seaton's on Bridgestones and Gardner's on Yokohama, so it's going to be interesting to see which ones come up to temperature first.
Larry Perkins has done well also. He's up there.
Oh, Scaife up the inside of Brocky there. Whoa.
Brock got pushed back one position. So it's Seaton, Gardner. Looks like Murphy has got himself up into that third position. Indeed, he has ahead of Russell Ingall. So I stand corrected. It wasn't Perkins, it was Ingall, Scaife, Brock, Jones and Longhurst. Watching Glenn Seaton hard at work in the Ford Credit Falcon. A quick look to his right-hand side there to see how far Gardner was. Just looking in the right-hand mirror. As we ride now with Glenn Seaton. Just listen to the roar of the Falcon.
Yeah, it's interesting to listen on them. It's interesting to hear the transmission on these things. They sound like tractors when they change down. So much transmission noise.
Gardner sitting in second position. Can he get 2 from 2 seconds from 2 races? Sitting in close behind him is Greg Murphy, then Russell Ingall. Of course, the man who completely dominated the support category races at the Australian Grand Prix last weekend at Albert Park. Luck not going his way in terms of tyres. Well, in qualifying in race 1, but he's not doing too bad now.
Exactly that, because the Dunlops, they've only got, it's not the best compound they're using, it's the only one they've got to use at the moment. And it's funny because in the first race, the Dunlops were completely out of it. And when you would expect, with the track temperature really cold as it is now, you'd expect him to be totally out of the hunt, yet he's up there.
You ride with Wayne Gardner in the Coca-Cola Commodore, currently second. There is your race leader. Scooting off into the distance, Glenn Seaton in the Ford Credit Falcon. Hard on the brakes. Coming down into this very rapid change of direction. Have a look at Greg Murphy. He's all over the back of Gardner. So we've seen how well Murphy can run from the front. Well, we now get to see how well he can work through traffic, and can he come from behind?
Well, as far as Gardner is concerned, he's going to be on tenterhooks, because if he has a bit of a coming together with Greg Murphy, it doesn't make any difference whose fault it was. Gardner's going to get.
Here comes Murphy. Pulls out of the draft. Have a look up the inside. Gardner covered the line. Now Murphy goes to the outside.
No,
he locks it up. Have a look at this.
And Gardner's locked it up. You saw the smoke from Gardner as well.
Fantastic stuff. Greg Murphy, the old over and under trick, tried one way, then went to the outside, then went back to the inside again, and just couldn't manage to get past Wayne Gardner.
Well, it's definitely not going to be the last time, is it?
Under lights here at Calder Park. You're watching Greg Murphy swerving all over the track, just looking for any possible option to get past the Coke Commodore of Wayne Gardner.
Oh, that's a little bit of a nudge, baby.
Pressure is on. This is the battle for second and third. Seaton is off in the distance. There's Russell Ingall. Just got a quick shot of Russell, the first of the Castrol Perkins Commodores. Onto the main straight yet again for the second 20-lapper of 3.
Just getting into slipstream. Oh, one side. Oh, we're going to see it.
Tries the outside option.
Long way round.
It is definitely long way around in that tight right-hander that turn 1. Have a look at Russell Ingall in the background, looming up behind Greg Murphy. There he is there. Murphy, trying to put it up the inside, but couldn't quite get through on Wayne Gardner. This is unbelievable racing.
This is doing Ingall the biggest favour possible, because by the time Gardner is fighting with Murphy, then Ingall's going to nip up the inside of the pair of them.
There's the Shell Helix race update for you. Seaton, Gardner. Then we go back. Murphy, Ingall, followed by Mark Scaife. That's your top 5. And we're watching 2, 3 and 4. This is just awesome. Gardner sitting in the hot seat. Can he handle the pressure? Murphy has got Russell Ingall all over the back of him. Russell Ingall picked up his maiden touring car victory here last year. Round 6 of the championship last year. There's an HRT Commodore sitting in front of him. We go down trackside with Mark Osler.
Looking at Greg Murphy be looking for a nice clear screen there. When they had the break for dinner and the cars went down for the pit walk, the bonnet pins weren't in the mobile car and the bonnet flipped up and broke the windscreen. So Murphy's got a new screen in the car. Just shows the best team can make mistakes at the worst of times.
How embarrassing. Oh, dear me.
Keep an eye, especially in some of these tight corners, if we get a shot on a close-up shot of the wheels. Look for the brake discs. They will be glowing red. You get to see that here at night time as we watch Wayne Gardner hard at work in the Coca-Cola Commodore. He is a man under pressure at the moment. Greg Murphy is all over the back of him.
Yeah, it's funny. It looks like Ingall's dropped back fractionally now. Having said that, Ingall's lapping faster than Murphy and Gardner.
Well, there's a quick shot of our race leader, Glenn Seaton. Let's not forget about him. He is still well out in front. Here is 2, 3, 4 and 5. Murphy's overdone it! Oh, no!
Dear me.
Greg Murphy has overdone it and has gone off at the end of the main straight. So he leaves himself with a lot of work to do and has just given up 3rd place.
Oh. Yeah, oh dear me, he's got himself off his Christmas card list. Yeah, that's always the problem. You're really under pressure, you're having a good go, and when it's too late, it's too late.
So that now elevates Russell Ingall up into 3rd spot. Here's the Shell Helix replay.
Just locked her up straight. It looked like the rears really locked up a hell of a lot. Well, the fronts didn't lock up at all, did they? Locked up the rears, so bit of brake balance problem there.
So hard luck there for Greg Murphy. No win will come for him in this 2nd race, but it's looking pretty good for this guy on screen at the moment. The Ford Credit Falcon of Glenn Seaton has got, well, there you go. It's a very healthy gap. Almost a 3-second gap back to the 2nd place runner in Gardner. You just saw the speed flash up on screen there. How quick Seaton is down the main straight here at Calder Park. He's looking very tidy at the moment, Barry.
Oh, that's the greatest thing about Glenn Seaton. He's a real tryer, yet he keeps the thing on the island most of the time. When you see him, he doesn't look like he's fighting it at all, does he?
Very smooth. A great guy, Glenn Seaton, and a great racer as well. We look further back in the pack. One of the Shell Helix Falcons fighting it out. Jones, Bow and Brock. That is the battle. It looks like Larry Perkins is up in there as well. Doing it tough under lights. A lot of traffic out there on the track at the moment. They take it onto the main straight. Brock currently sitting back in 7th position. So he's got a lot of work to do to get up there.
Got a bit of a glimpse there. It looks like Scaife is catching Ingall up.
We ride now with Peter Brock. This position of the track 1 lap ago, his teammate Greg Murphy spun off and put himself out of 3rd position. Here is a replay of an earlier incident. This is Darren Hossack at one of the new entries into V8 supercar ranks.
Hasn't been his day, has it?
Hasn't been his day. He had an incident earlier on in the Privateers Cup and a spin there. Fantastic go-kart racer. I think he's the current Australian clubman champ. Doing it tough in his debut for V8s. Current order is Seaton, Gardner, Ingall, Scaife, Jones, Bow, Perkins, and here they come. Glenn Seaton. 9 laps completed.
Well, Scaife is having a good go, but it doesn't seem to be. He started to catch up, and then it seems to. Oh, lock her up.
We are at the halfway mark of this 20-lapper. It's good to see John Bow up in there after having some earlier qualifying problems. Finished 10th in the first race.
It's tyre problems, isn't it? But it just doesn't make any sense because they're on the same tyres as Russell Ingall, and they seem. Ingall's obviously getting his things up to temperature. Yeah, they're both Perkins and the Ford guys were saying, and Johnson and Bow were saying they couldn't get temperature in their tyres. So it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Larry Perkins is giving John Bow a really hard time, and Peter Brock just staying in touch about a car length or 2 back. We ride now with Peter Brock in the 05 HRT Commodore. See Perkins trying the outside option there in the Shell S's. The long way around, so Larry tucks in behind JB. Looks like it is Tony Longhurst sitting in behind Peter Brock. Indeed it is. Longhurst in the Falcon tagging on to this group of 3.
There's not a lot to, when you look at top speed, there's not a lot to choose between any of them. You know, unless somebody gets a draft, they're all much of a muchness.
Well, just having a look at our screen here as we watch Peter Brock manoeuvre and work his way around. Greg Murphy has worked his way back up into the top 10 and currently sits in 10th position. So Murphy is on the way back and he's not too far behind Longhurst. So it won't be too much longer before you see Murphy get back up in there. He's a young charger. He's a very hard charger. He's very aggressive. Doesn't like to lose like any of these guys.
And will be really kicking himself.
And he'll be back. This is the battle.
Yeah, if you see right just on the back. Well, just missed him.
There he is there.
Yeah, right there.
He's already on the back of Tony Longhurst. Here's the Shell Helix race update for you. It's Seaton, Gardner, Ingalls, Scaife and Jones. The top 5 haven't changed, but we're watching the next 5. Bow, Perkins, Brock, Longhurst and Murphy. That's where the action is, that's for sure. Perkins has put a little bit of a gap on Brock there down the main straight. He tries the outside option. JB's got that good inside run again. You can see the disc glowing beautifully, and Murphy's got up past Longhurst already. So Murphy's on the charge. Down the back section, down through the dip they go. Well, this will be interesting, Barry, to see how far Murphy can work his way up.
He's up behind the governor at the moment.
Here they go, Larry trying the outside option once again, then just decides to tuck in behind John Bow. This is fantastic. This is the battle. 5th back through 10th. Rather, 6th back through 10th. Bow is at the head of this freight train at the moment. There is Greg Murphy just ahead of Tony Longhurst. We take the view out of the back of the 05 Mobile Commodore. Here's his young teammate, Greg Murphy. Having a look up the inside. We have a look whether Murphy's successful or not. Will he be able to hold it in there? And
yes!
So Murphy picks up yet another position and moves up into 8th now. So he is on the charge. The next victim on his list, Larry Perkins.
Yeah, well, Larry ain't the easiest bloke in the world to get past, though, is he really?
Then he's got to negotiate against probably the hardest guy, John Bow. So through the back part of the circuit we go. Time is running out for Greg Murphy, but he's certainly made up a lot of ground. He is right up on the back of Larry Perkins. How good is this braking?
Brave.
Through they go. Greg Murphy just trying to weave his way through, get past everyone. We'll see how he goes under brakes this time round. This is where he picked up Longhurst 2 laps ago and Brock 1 lap ago. Here's a replay of John Trimble. Just turning it round. Now, let's have a look at it here. Murphy is tucked in behind Perkins, who's sitting on the outside. Now he ducks to the inside. Murphy
Done
on the inside.
Hot stuff. That's good. I mean, when you get past a bloke like Perkins, but mind you, Perkins hasn't exactly given up, has he?
Great driving by Greg Murphy. He is just fantastic under brakes, really working the Mobile Commodore overtime. Now he's got John Bow in his sights. Our race 1 winner here this afternoon. Let's not lose sight or forget that this is Greg's debut race meeting in the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship, and Perkins is giving him a working over. We have a look now, John
Perkins
Bow.
back again. Got him.
Beautiful driving by Larry Perkins. Straight up the inside as quick as you like. We now ride with Peter Brock.
Brocky looks like he's out for a Sunday afternoon drive.
Not looking too stressed there. Here is the braking duel again. Perkins versus Murphy. Perkins has got the more preferred line on the inside through that right-hander.
Oh,
a little bit of a touch there. Beautiful camera work to pick that up. Zoomed in right at the right time. Watching 6th place. John Bow fight off the challenge from Larry Perkins, Greg Murphy and Peter Brock.
This is cutting John Bow a bit of slack, by the way, isn't it? Because the other guys are so occupied with each other that it's letting Bowie sort of do his own thing. He's good on the brakes, Murphy, isn't he?
Let's not forget about our top 5. It is still Seaton, Gardner, Ingle, Scaife and Jones. They're out the front doing their best, but this is where the action is. It is really on. The two HRT Commodores chasing Larry Perkins, who in turn is chasing Johnny Bow. And in fact, there is a little bit of a buffer there now. Between Bow and Perkins, we ride with Wayne Gardner in the Coca-Cola Commodore. Over on the back part of the circuit. Looked like he was making up a little bit of ground. In fact,
yeah, he has. It has, look, but he's under a second there. Well, you can see there it is, right in front of you. Oh, that's great. It'd be kind of good for Gardner if he could win this one. You know, I really feel sorry for somebody when they do get all that still. Get out of the way.
It's coming up on the inside of Wayne Russell there. We have 3 laps left to go as they come across the strike. Can Seaton hang on, or will Gardner be able to come up with a win and a good way to start the 97 season?
Well, if there's anybody that's going to have a go, it'll be Gardner. But as I say, he's got that kind of taboo about him at the moment, so he's got to be a little bit careful, and we'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Well, the gap is 0.7 of a second. You can see it with your own eyes that Gardner is only really a couple of car lengths behind Seaton and really starting to turn it on in the dying stages. The Bridgestone shod car of Glenn Seaton at Ford Credit Falcon, back to the newly Yokohama shod car of Wayne Gardner, who really comes up under brakes.
Oh, Larry goes.
Replay of Perkins just spinning there. Let's go down trackside. Here's Mark Osler.
Yeah, it's interesting, Lee, watching this battle. Just looking at that myself. Larry smoking them up, getting back onto the track. They're all pumped up here under lights, no doubt about it. Looking at that battle between Gardner and Seaton. Because Gardner switched to Yokohama tyres this year, he has the ability of being able to swap the rears with the fronts. They're interchangeable. So maybe at this stage of the race, the second race, they've only got 6 tyres to play with.
Well,
he just got him.
Gotcha.
So Gardner really has some sort of grip advantage here, and he's certainly using it to maximum effect.
Just going berserk is Wayne Gardner. Well, we were inside Glenn Seaton's Ford Credit Falcon, and you saw Gardner just slip up the inside. A beautiful move. So a new race leader.
And he's pulling away. Look how quick he's pulling away.
This is just fantastic for the Coca-Cola Wayne Gardner racing team. A great way to start 97. He was a little bit down in the dumps. Here's the Shell Helix replay.
On the brakes.
Look at the discs glowing.
Oh, clean up on the curb.
Seaton tried to come back on the inside. You now ride at the front of Glenn Seaton's car. Wayne Gardner is one lap from victory.
Oh, look at Seaton. That'll be a big one if he can do it around the outside.
Here comes Glenn. He won't be giving in either. This is the run to home. Seaton's got to do it, and he's got to do it soon.
Oh!
Has a look up the inside of Wayne Gardner. This would be...
Well, there's only one more chance. That's the second little tight S's down here, up the inside, but there's no chance Gardner's going to leave the door open.
Wayne Gardner would be so pumped up inside the car at the moment. This is it. It's on for young and old. Gardner's going for his 2nd career win. His first one was at Mallala last year in race 3. Can he do it again? Seaton! Glenn Seaton is all over the back of him, but it's all too late. Gardner's going to have the run to home in the Coke Commodore. Well done, Wayne Gardner. He takes out race 2 here at Calder Park. A fantastic effort.
Yeah, good. Great race, and I have to say, very well-deserved win from Gardner.
A really good run to home by Wayne Gardner. Held off the challenge from Glenn Seaton. There he is, screaming.
Get a load of that. I don't blame him.
The Coke team, Alan Heafy, and the entire team would just be so delighted down in the pits. All the hard work. He's had a lot of bad luck and a lot of altercations, but now it's all worthwhile. He'd be a very, very happy man. They cruise around the back part of the circuit. Full credit to him, because Seaton had a bit of a gap there, over a second.
Yeah, a really big gap, but I bet old Gardner's got a lump in his throat.
Well done. Let's check the Shell Helix race score for you. Wayne Gardner and the Coke Commodore in for the win. Glenn Seaton picking up 2nd. Russell Ingle in for 3rd. Mark Scaife in for 4th. And Alan Jones in for 5th.
6th place to John Bow, 7th to Greg Murphy. That's not a bad comeback. Peter Brock 8th, Steve Ellery 9th, and John Faulkner 10th.
There's your top 10, race 2, round 1. Stick around and we'll be back after this. Now, the V8 supercars are back out on the Calder Park Raceway. We get ourselves set for race 3. This has been the opening round of the 97 Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. Here are the points for you. Wayne Gardner is at the top of the tree at the moment by a mere 6 points over Glenn Seaton, and Greg Murphy back in 3rd.
Yeah, Greg Murphy in 3rd, Mark Scaife in 4th, Alan Jones in 5th, and Russell Ingall in 6th. That just shows you consistency. Jones is still up there in 5th. That's not bad.
He's had a very, very good day's racing, and it really is coming down to this 3rd and final one. Just looking at Glenn Seaton there, just accelerating and braking, just getting some heat into the tyres, getting himself set, just having a look down as we have a look at the Shell Helix grid. Off the front row is Wayne Gardner and Glenn Seaton, the man we were just riding with. Row 2 is Russell Ingall and Mark Scaife.
Yeah, row 3 is Alan Jones and John Bowe. Row 4 is Greg Murphy.
Well, Murph would be a little bit disappointed with himself after out-braking himself and going off at the end of the main straight, but gee, he fought back well.
Oh, he did fall back well, but I think he's knocked himself off the Christmas card list for a couple of people, especially Larry Perkins, because Larry wasn't too happy. He got a tap up the backside by Greg, and obviously we saw in the first race that Larry spun off.
We were sitting in with Dick Johnson there in Shell Helix in-car camera. We're now having a look inside Wayne Gardner's machine. The man of the moment, really. Qualified 2nd, finished 2nd in the opening race, won the 2nd race in that terrific duel. We're getting ourselves set for a start. Race 3, the 3rd and final event on the program. Watch for the green light. There it is. Away we go. This is it. Can Gardner make it? A winning round. He doesn't get away to the best of the starts. It's Seaton.
Maybe just Seaton by the looks of it.
A great start by the Ford Credit Falcon. He comes blasting down the outside. It is Glenn Seaton who will take him into turn 1. Gardner has tucked up into 2nd. And
Bowe,
John Bowe has come blasting through.
It's nearly 2nd. Oh dear, that's getting a bit close.
We ride now with Dick Johnson, the Shell Helix in-car camera. We're on top of Dick's car, though, having a look at the field, trying to sort themselves out. Peter Brock out to the outside there. They all get through that section of the circuit okay, but it's Glenn Seaton who's just bolted away. Mark Scaife is up in 3rd. There's the 2 Castrol Perkins Commodores sorting themselves out just ahead of what looked like Mark Poole.
Boy, you got to hand it to Bowie. That was a brilliant start, wasn't it?
John Bowe is up there in 4th position. Blasted through on the inside, so it's Seaton, Gardner, Bowe. There your top 3. Here we have a look at it. Scaife is, Scaife is up in the top 3 ahead of Bowe. He's right behind Gardner. Mark Scaife's had a good night. He's still up there in the points, not too far out of it.
Well, he has, and when you consider he hasn't done much testing and the old budget doesn't exist, he's not doing too bad at all.
Coopers and Lybrand giving the Gibson Motorsport team some support. Here we go. Have a look at this. Greg Murphy and John Bowe.
Oh, no. I spoke to Greg Murphy. He didn't lock up the brakes. He missed a gear coming into the right-hander at the end of the straight and just locked it up. He couldn't get 2nd, and he said that if he had got it, it was just too late, and he just went straight on. That was it. But he wasn't too pleased with himself. Greg
always has high expectations of his own performance, and he would have been, I would imagine, a little bit disappointed with himself. Well, a little bit disappointed with himself.
That's an understatement, I think.
Watching the Coke Commodore of Wayne Gardner. He's got a 6-point lead at the moment going into the final round. We have a look at out of the back of Gardner's Coke Commodore. There's Mark Scaife looking for an option, any option, as they come onto the main straight.
I tell you what's interesting, speaking of Brocky said he didn't have it, he couldn't get any grip, and he's made a load of changes to his car. Yet Greg Murphy, same thing, same tyres, same everything, and he looked like he was going okay.
He was going unbelievably. Here comes Scaife, locks it up.
Incredible. You can see the disc glowing.
Disc glowing, flames blowing, all over the back of Wayne Gardner. Have a look at this. Gardner has got a real battle on his hands. Mark Scaife is running hot to trot at the moment. Here is the Shell Helix update for you. Seaton, Gardner, Scaife, Bowe and Murphy. There your top 5 at the minute. Here goes Scaife with an inside look.
Oh, dear.
Switches to the outside. We're in the back of Gardner's car right now as we have a look at the Coopers and Lybrand Commodore. Mark Scaife looks for the inside.
Whoa,
got him.
Move. That was good. That was hot. That was good stuff.
So Mark Scaife is up into 2nd position, his highest position on today's card. Sitting in behind Glenn Seaton, who is just gradually trickling away. We go on board now.
I tell you what, so Gardner's thing isn't down on horsepower in a straight line, is it?
Just pulled out and had a look up the outside of Mark Scaife now tucks in behind him. So it's Seaton, Scaife, Gardner. They're your top three. We ride now with Wayne in the Coke Commodore. That Scaife Commodore just belching flames out all the time. Pretty spectacular under lights here at Calder.
Oh, it is incredible. You know, it's you wouldn't think it would look that different, but even when you get outside and see it for real, it looks 100% better than it does in the daylight.
Gardner's going to have to keep a keen eye on his mirrors because he's got the young gun right in behind him too. Greg Murphy is right on the pace in this third and final race. He's sitting back third in the points, 10 points adrift of Gardner, so he's got nothing to lose.
I think Greg Murphy's team were a little bit sort of miffed that he went straight on. It wasn't his fault, you know, it wasn't a sort of do-or-die braking job, but I think you'll find that he won't take too many risks in this one. He'll just get some points because it's 30 race series and you don't win it in the first race.
There's a long way to go.
Yeah, exactly.
234 kilometres per hour down the main straight. That is the time. The speed, rather, for Glenn Seaton in the Ford Credit Falcon. We're watching Greg Murphy now manoeuvre the HRT Mobile Commodore around this Calder Park circuit. There's your leader. He zooms through. Scaife, Gardner. Then we go back to Murphy Bowes, sitting back in 5th position ahead of Russell Ingall, Larry Perkins, Alan Jones, Mark Poole and John Faulkner. They're your top 10.
That's Ingall.
Here's the battle.
Ingall having a go at Bowie. Oh, good one.
Bow just drifted a little wide there and allowed Russell Ingall to dive up the inside. Didn't have to wait for a second invitation. And they come onto the main straight one more time. Seaton has got around about a little over a second over Mark Scaife at the moment. Scaife is going really well.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's quite a turnaround, isn't it? Because Scaife hasn't, you know, sort of shone the whole week. Well, the whole weekend, he wasn't too happy, but all of a sudden he's up there.
You're watching the battle for third and fourth between the Coke Commodore of Wayne Gardner and the Mobile Commodore of Greg Murphy. He won the first race, finished further back in the second. You're looking to get up into the top three in this one.
I tell you what, I don't reckon it's going to be long before the old Murphy's past Wayne. He's really giving him the hurry up now.
Coming down hard under brakes. This is the view from the back of Wayne Gardner's Coca-Cola Commodore. Greg Murphy trying everything that he possibly can. Drifting a little high there on the ripple strip. Now hard under brakes. Murphy's shown us just how good he is under brakes. There's the gap for you as they come over the strike one more time. They've completed 7 laps of this 20-lapper. Murphy won't give in. There's the gap.
Good on the brakes.
That shot illustrates it well, Baz, that the gap, the interval between first and second back to Scaife and then back to Gardner and how close Murphy is. There's Ingall back in 5th position.
It's funny, when you've made a mistake like Greg Murphy did in the first race, every time you come to that corner again, you think, oh, no, I mustn't do the same thing again. And you would think, you know, once you've done a couple of laps, it's out of your mind, but it's always in there.
Our man on the ground is Mark Osler. Mark, how are you seeing this one?
Well, it's interesting, Lee. I was just talking to Alan Heafy, the boss of the Coke Racing team, and watching Wayne lose a couple of positions early in this third heat. I thought there might have been something wrong with the car. Maybe it was lacking grip or something. Alan said, no, Wayne's just very much aware of the point situation. We want to win this thing, so he's driving very conservative, very safely.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, Mark, because just got the nod from our statistician, Nigel Greenway, that if Seaton remains in first, Gardner remains in third, they'll be level on points. But, of course, the better result in the latter event, Seaton will win the round.
See Murphy locking him up there. Woof.
So Gardner's got to go one better. He's got to try and get up there and mix it with Mark Scaife. We'll hope that something happens to the 2 lead cars, which we don't want to happen. But sitting where he is at the minute is not quite good enough for Wayne Gardner. Although we must say he still will get plenty of points.
Well, he's got to be pleased with it. I spoke to him and he said he was, you know, really happy. And also he commended Seaton, because he said Seaton could have really been difficult. He got held up with some back markers. That's why I called him up so quickly. But he was really nice. You know, he didn't exactly let him pass, but he said he could have been a lot more difficult than he was.
There he goes. Greg Murphy, the man we're talking about. Let's go on board. We are on board now with Glenn Seaton, the race leader, in the Ford Credit Falcon, working hard behind the wheel. He's currently on his 9th lap.
And when you talk to this guy, you would never believe somebody like him could drive a race car the way he does. He's the nicest, quietest kind of guy you could ever wish to meet. And, you know, it's just really, you expect racing drivers, riders to be really aggressive. Have a listen to this, listen. Hear the old brakes and the gearbox going down through the gears. Whoa!
It's coming up on the inside of John Trimble.
I think he's going to turn in.
Has a quick look in the rearview mirror just to see how far Scafie is behind him. He's got around about almost a 2-second buffer over Mark Scaife at the moment. He comes over the strike one more time, so that's the halfway mark.
You can see the readout there on his speed readout on the LED thing. You can see it just between the steering wheel.
Yep. Seaton, 240 kilometres an hour. The gap between he and Mark Scaife is starting to decrease. So Scaife starting to bridge that gap. It was up at almost 2 seconds. Now it's 1.23 seconds. So Mark Scaife starting to come on strong towards the latter half of this one.
Well, it's interesting because they're both on different tyres. One's on Bridgestone, Scaife is on Yokohama's, as is Gardner, and Murphy is Murphy.
Glenn Seaton, Mark Scaife, things are starting to tighten up now. In fact, Gardner has bridged the gap as well on Scaife. So we saw Wayne come on very strong in the last race to work his way past Glenn Seaton and win. He might be able to weave a little bit of magic here and get himself past Scaife. And in fact, if he finishes in that second position...
Oh, now backmarker City, here we go.
Oh, and Scaife has gone. Mark Scaife has gone. Out. Oh, that is very disappointing for Mark Scaife. We were riding with Wayne Gardner. You saw it through Gardner's windscreen. He just drifted off the end of the straight.
Well, it's same old story. You're under pressure. You're trying as hard as you can. If you back it off, you're going to get beaten. If you go into it, you can outbrake yourself, and that's what Scaife did.
Poor old Mark Scaife. He's going to have to keep a keen eye out because here comes John Bowe. Here is the Shell Helix replay.
Well, look at the disc. Look at that. Oh, what a great shot of the disc. Look.
Awesome. Just glowing. So hot. And poor old Mark Scaife has just gone off the end of the straight. That allowed Gardner and Murphy to come on through. As Seaton crosses the strike one more time. 12 laps down, 8 laps left to run.
Be great to get in-car sound. I wonder what Scaife said then.
Gardner is now up into second position, and that really helps his points chances. If he remains where he is and Seaton remains where he is, Gardner will take out the round.
Exactly that, and Gardner's got just a little bit over 2 seconds on Murphy. So, you know, basically Gardner can just afford to take it easy.
And that's Greg Murphy hanging it out. The mobile Commodore. He is sitting back at the moment in third position, fighting hard to maintain that third spot. Seaton and Gardner are ahead of him at the moment. I was just explaining before we went to the break that if Gardner can remain where he is, there's a Shell Helix update for you. Seaton, Gardner, Murphy, Ingle and Scaife. Poor old Mark Scaife, due to that...
oh, he's struggling a bit to get past Derek, and oh, dearie way.
Oh, that's allowed Ingle. Look at Russell Ingle, all over the back. All over the back. Oh, a bit of a nudge there. Russell gives him a bit of a touch-up, a couple of touch-ups.
Dear me.
They come onto the main straight. Keep your eye on this, the battle between Ingle and Murphy. Murph's got just a little, looks like just a little more straight line speed there over Russell.
It did look a little bit like that, didn't it?
Coming into the bottom turn, let's have a look what Russell Ingle's got up his sleeve.
His arm, I think, because he'll never get around the outside. Scaife back up in the picture again, look.
Here he is on the inside.
Gotcha.
The big nudge on the inside.
Oh, God! Out!
Can he save it?
Can he? Yes, he has.
Well done, Greg Murphy.
Whoa.
He hung on to it. I thought it was tyre wall city there for a moment. There you go.
Oh, JP.
Ingle had more up his sleeve than his arm.
You're right. Yeah. Oh, dear, that was a good one, wasn't it? Like that.
Bit of push and shove from Russell Ingle.
Yes, gotcha.
So they're coming from everywhere, the challenges. Poor old Greg Murphy's getting pushed back position by position each time the further he goes around the track.
And I think he can hear his team manager's voice echoing in his ears.
Oh, look at that! He's coming from Alan Jones.
Oh,
Wow.
It's not Murphy's day, is it?
This is the big hello and welcome to V8 Supercar Racing for Greg Murphy. his first Shell Australian Touring Car round, and the regulars have made him feel welcome.
He can hear his team manager saying, we want to get some points.
Here's the battle now for third. Russell Ingall has taken over that third spot, but Mark Scaife wants to get back up into the top three. He was running second earlier on. The Coopers and Librand Commodore is running hot. Keep your eye on this one. Remember, out in front at Seaton and Gardner, they're doing just fine. There's about a 2-second gap between them out in front. We're in the dying stages of this third and final race, and this is the battle between Russell Ingall in the Castrol Commodore and Mark Scaife. Mark Osler, this one's a ripper.
Has a stop wall to wall, isn't it? They're just watching Alan Jones come past the pits that time around, and a lot of smoke belching from the back of the Komatsu Falcon. There may have been some damage on that turn when he came onto the pit straight. We'll keep an eye on that.
Onto the main straight they come again. Ingall and Scaife.
It does look like Ingall's thing's got some horsepower over Scaife's.
It was interesting that the previous lap, wasn't it? The HRT car over the Castrol car, and then Ingall's car.
Oh, no!
Mark Scaife has done it again. He's just overcooked it. Let's hope he can get back on and maintain at least a top 10 position if everything's okay. Having a bit of trouble getting going again. Now he finds gear and away he goes. Rejoins the circuit okay. Hang on to it, Mark. There's only a couple of laps left now. I'm not quite sure if that was Murphy who just went around there. Here's the Shell Helix replay.
Just locks her up. You see there, back end locked up, and nothing you can do about it. See the old front brakes. I think probably the front brakes are getting really hot, so that makes the back end work better and just locks up, and nothing you can do about it.
A couple of our privateers at the back there. Darren Hossack joining the V8 supercar ranks. Here's Greg Murphy weaving his way around. He is now back in 8th position as he comes across the strike. Caught back there with John Faulkner and a few of the guys. We have a look now at Glenn Seaton. We go back up the front of the pack. He's driven a very sensible race, a good race, and there's the gap back to Gardner. It's now almost creeping up towards 3 seconds. It was under 2 seconds earlier on, so I'd say Gardner's just happy to just consolidate and settle for second.
Perfect, yeah, he's got 5 seconds over Russell Ingall, so there's no need to rush. That's good. That's nice for Gardner to get a, you know, it's all come together for, you know, he was nearly in tears earlier on.
Oh, it's a fantastic, just positive start for 97, which is what the Coke team needed, as Glenn Seaton brings it onto the main straight. We are getting very close to
last lap.
The end of this one. Wayne Gardner, let's hope everything can hold together for this final lap. He is on his way to his first Shell Australian Touring Car win. And I don't mean a race win, I mean a round win. And he thoroughly deserves it after the way he's driven here tonight. Then this third and final one, all the credit's going to go to the Ford Credit Falcon of Glenn Seaton. Got away to a terrific start.
Oh, yeah, you've got to say that Seaton is really good at starts. There's no doubt whatsoever. And it makes life so much easier. You can get into the first corner first rather than getting like 3 paces down. It gives you so much work to do that you don't really need.
He's going to bring it home, and he's going to give the Ford fans something to cheer about, because they've brought it on home ahead of the Holdens for this third and final one. Well done, Glenn Seaton. He takes out race 3 here at round 1 of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship for 97. There he is. No excess of emotion. He just seems quite happy and content. He comes in for the win ahead of Wayne Gardner, and Russell Ingall, according to our records, has hung on to third. A good, sensible drive, Barry.
Oh, yeah, I think getting back to Seaton, it's just really, it's good for him to start off the season in a semi-sort of decent way by comparison to, you know what it's like, if you start off the season in a bad way, it just never ever seems to go right. Like, Gardner would be, just have a look at his face, he would be so happy.
Very, very happy, and he thoroughly deserves it. Gardner winding his way on in. Let's check the Shell Helix race score for you. Glenn Seaton in for the win, Wayne Gardner in for second. Russell Ingall did hang on for third ahead of John Bowe up into fourth, and Alan Jones in for fifth.
That's good. 6th place, Larry Perkins. 7th, Greg Murphy's had a baptism of fire from Steve Ellery, Mark Paul and Peter Brock.
It's been a fantastic first round of the Shell Australian Touring Car Championship. We look forward to your company next time.